Hello and welcome back. This lesson is a sequence of the series I Cried at Work Today. I hope you benefit from it, alright? This time we talk about unsolicited advice. Sometimes when someone opens up and asks for advice on some issue or some situations that he or she is going through, we may feel free to overdo it. We may speak conjectures, we may speak up our minds in a way that we may express conjectures and and hypothetical situations in a way that it may become an unsolicited advice when advice may get intrusive by judgmental and over evaluation. Okay, here on the board I have those pieces here. You should try and be more coachable. Okay, it has expectation, an underlying expectation. Would you guess what it is? Why don't you try a different office? Also an underlying expectation. It must be hard to be so sensitive, so it has an imaginary idea of how it would be different if this person weren't so sensitive. It's a shame you will meet him tomorrow. And here it has an underlying hypothetical situation. You should have responded accordingly, and it has an underlying evaluation as well as you shouldn't have cried to him. Okay, so on the responses to I cried at work today, we can find those passages here in the responses. If someone just has to learn things, could be if someone just has to learn, things could be explained in a caring way. What we have here a conditional clause. If someone has to learn, then it's followed by the main idea. Things could be explained in a caring way. Well, in order to make all conjectures, all underlying conjectures when giving a piece of advice, we may come up with conditional clauses to explain better what we mean when we say those things, okay? A conditional clause is a kind of dependent clause or an adverbial clause. So it means that we have a main idea with a subject, verb, and complement, and we have the dependent clause or the adverbial clause connected with a jointer or a connective. And it in itself has a subject, a verb, and complements. All right. So a conditional clause has as a jointer the word if, the connective if. Other dependent clauses can express manner, time, place, purpose, comparative, contrastive, alternative, proportional, just to name a few. Okay, so let's see. More examples on the responses are: you're new to the job, and if the supervisor gave instructions, he should have given them in such a way that you can't misinterpret them. So the conditional clause here is if the supervisor gave or has given instructions. Okay, so this is the dependent clause, the conditional clause, and then comes the main clause. He should have given them in such a way that you can't misinterpret them. So it always has two parts, a main clause and a conditional clause. Conditional clause usually comes first, but not necessarily, and main clause usually comes comes later as the main idea or the conjecture. So, what's the underlying conjecture in this idea here? Not okay, the boss should be more professional. Can you make up a conjecture, an underlying conjecture here? Let's see what it could be. Maybe the conjecture would be if the boss were more professional, then interns wouldn't feel so uncomfortable. So we transform this idea, the boss should be more professional, we transform it into a conjectural sentence using the using the conditional clause here. Let's see one more example. Um, do the best you can on every project and try to be coachable. So, by trying to be coachable, what conjecture we could have? You would benefit more from the internship if you became or if you tried to be more coachable. Okay, so it's a way to express, to explain better when we give such a piece of advice. Another one, um, in my personal opinion, it's a good idea to try to earn his respect, to earn the boss or the supervisor's respect. Okay, and here we can express an expectation by saying, if you earn his respect, he won't ever talk down to you again. All right, so there's an expectation towards earning his respect. Okay, so let's talk a little more about conditional clauses. In general, they express consequential situations, events, or results, but they come in different formats and meaning different things. Let's see, for example, a concomitant ideas. Okay, for example, if someone has to learn things, they can be explained in a caring way. So in this example, we have a simple present for the if clause, if someone has to learn things, and a simple present for the concomitant idea. They can be explained in a caring way, okay? It's usually called zero conditional when you have both present simple and present simple, simple present, all right? The second way to make conditional is to express expectation. Let's see. If you don't earn his respect, he will end up talking down to you again. So, to express this expectation, we have a conditional present or a simple present in the conditional clause. If you don't earn, and the result, the expectation is expressed in a simple future, in this case with ill will. He will end up talking down to you again. So this one is usually called first conditional or possible conditional, all right? A third kind of conditional is the hypothetical. Hypothetical. If your supervisor lied to you, he would give you clearer instructions. Okay, here we have a conditional past expressed with the word liked and a modal would. he would give you clearer instruction. All right. So here we're always in these examples putting the conditional first and the the main clause in the sequence. So the conditional here is expressed in the past, and the modal would will express the hypothetical idea. It's called second conditional. And a third kind, or a fourth kind, is the evaluative type. Here we can read, if your supervisor had given clearer instruction, he wouldn't have needed to check on you. In this evaluative, the the conditional clause is in the past perfect with the auxiliary had and the main verb in the participle form, had given. And the result is expressed with the would have plus the participle form. Okay, he wouldn't have needed. So in this case, negative, wouldn't have, and needed is in the participle form of need. It is usually called third conditional when it's evaluative of something that happened in the past. Okay, so with this in mind, let's try and make the conjectures with those sentences here I put here on the board. So please, you should try and be more coachable. So let's use expectation to express our conjecture here. Okay, so what is expectation? The conditional in the present simple and simple future. So in this case, you could say if you if you and conditional present try and be, or even you can say become. If you become more coachable, don't forget the comma. What will happen? All right. So here we'll use future with will. Okay. Maybe if you become more coachable, you will benefit more from the internship. Okay. So do you have other expectations here? Please tell me. Uh, let's express the second expectation using this this advice. Why don't you try a different office? So again, let's use the first conditional, conditional present, and simple future. Um, how can we start here? If if you try, okay, present, a different office, then something will come up. Okay, what's your idea here? Please tell me in the comment section. Here we have an imaginary situation or a hypothetical imaginary situation. It must be hard to be so sensitive. All right. So in this case, let's use the hypothetical formula, the conditional past with modal would or wouldn't. Okay. It's hard to be so sensitive. Let's start with if If you, oh, to be, okay? If you were or weren't, if you weren't so sensitive, things wouldn't, or things would go right. Things wouldn't happen that way for you. So, what's your idea here? Okay. So again, it doesn't matter if you use it in the affirmative or the negative. You only have to be coherent with the the two ideas. All right. Another hypothetical situation. It's a shame you'll meet him tomorrow. Let's start here with if. If you, again, conditional past. Didn't, if you didn't meet him tomorrow, what then? Tell me, what's your idea here? If you didn't meet him tomorrow, something wouldn't happen or something wouldn't have to happen. Okay? And finally, let's express evaluation with those two sentences here. You should have responded accordingly. Hmm. So what's the evaluation here? Let's use now the formula of evaluative. Past perfect would have participle. So let's start with if you, so you should have responded. If you had responded, why had responded? Because it's the past perfect. Past perfect uses auxiliary had and the main verb in the participle. So if you had responded accordingly, accordingly, then what? Maybe you wouldn't have cried. Wouldn't have cried, for example. Do you have any other idea to a consequence to if you had responded accordingly? So let's see the last one. You shouldn't have cried to him. So again, let's use evaluative. If you, now in the negative, if you hadn't cried, then what? For example, you wouldn't have be you wouldn't have been so embarrassed, for example. Any other idea to complement here? So please let me know. In a following lesson, we will talk in more details about the conditionals. Okay, so for instance, I hope you enjoyed this lesson and I hope you benefit from it. And as usual, keep speaking and keep practicing. Thank you.